Works. Hey everybody. um, right, I am going to try and do a video and kind of just explain how exactly I find out stuff about just random items that I've got. I'm recording my screen to do this, so hopefully it's going to make sense. And what I'm starting with today is this image that Karen de Bertoli sent me, which is, here's the depression glass that she's looking for. And I've got really nothing but this picture, and it's depression glass, and it's a basket weave, and it's olive. So now we got to try to, figure out, well, where did this come from? What am I looking for? So anyway, this is all Google foo. So here's where I start with depression glass pattern crosshatch. Okay, and now I just go looking I look specifically for Google Images, because like Google image search is pretty good about this kind of thing. You have to kind of switch around the keywords to kind of pick up kind of give it an idea for what you're looking for, and you have to try a bunch of different variations. So I start looking around, and here's the first thing I spot. This is vintage green depression glass, and it's kind of got the right kind of motif. Now, I was not paying attention here. This says Hazel Atlas wagon wheel pattern. This will be important later. Anyway, I said, okay, so we've got something. Let's keep looking. Let's see what else we can find. There's a couple of other examples that have that right kind of, like that correct kind of a pattern, which is the bunch of lines together. So let's look for square depression glass bowls. Now I start looking around, and obviously Google image search is still not really giving me anything. It's like there's a few hints that there might be something, and then we get to something like this, and then I get to this. This is kind of the one that kind of got me here. This listing says that it's Australian depression glass, and it's like, okay, this maybe possibly is the right motif. So I fall down a little bit of a rabbit hole looking through different examples of Australian depression glass, which doesn't show up in North America very often. And eventually I end up going through the Crown Crystal catalogue. The Crown Crystal Glassware is one of the big glass makers in Australia of depression glass. This is their catalogue from 1932. There is nothing like this. Nothing like this really resembles this little dish. There are a few hints again that there's some kind of similar kind of design motifs. It's definitely not, though. It's just not there. So this is effectively a bust. Okay, this is like an avenue of investigation which has failed. So we start over. Anchor Hocking. And I kind of tend to go back to Anchor Hocking because they just made so much stuff. So there might be a chance that it's Anchor Hocking, and maybe that's what I'm looking for. And then I start looking and see, okay, does this make sense? But no, it kind of doesn't. Now, I've already looked, for example, at depression glass basket weave, because this is what Karen actually described it as. And my Wi-Fi is broken again. All right, okay, my Wi-Fi isn't apparently broken right now. But anyway, I did a search for basket weave stuff, and nothing really came up that looked like this. This little dish, like whatever this is not coming up under that keyword for Google image search. This is kind of important. It's not to say that the pattern isn't called this, it's just that people online aren't calling it that, and that makes it harder to find information. You have to have a sense of, like, what do people online, like, what do they think it is? It doesn't have to be accurate, it just has to be kind of the general consensus. Like, for example, I did a video recently where I had these Murano glass flowers, but Murano glass flowers are, like, for those keywords, show a completely different design. When I started looking for Murano glass starfish, suddenly that started giving me results, just because people looked at that and they decided that, in general, this design was going to be called starfish, even though I know for a fact that it's actually a flower. It's got little leaf impressions on it. But anyway, going back to this. So we're stuck right now. Basket weave is given as nothing. Anchor Hocking really doesn't have anything going on. So I kind of start over again. Let's go back. Depression glass square. Let's try crosshatch as a keyword. And straight away scroll down. Whoop, here we go. That looks familiar. Now, it's not olive glass, obviously, but it's still, here we go. Hazel Atlas. So now we've got a result. This is like, we know the maker. That's fantastic. Let's try and take a look and see what else we've got here. and straight away we get results. So here's Azle Atlas crosshatch olive. Let's take a look down here. What else have we got? And straight away, here we go. Hazel Atlas green crisscross butter dish tray. So now this gives us even more information. Right, let's get more specific. Yeah, Hazel Atlas crisscross. There you go. Now we know the name of the pattern. Now we know how to find it and how to find more examples of it. So this is great. This basically gives us more and more information. And you can see here it says vintage 1950s. So they were making this pattern all the way up to the 1950s at least, you know. And that's great. That basically tells you, like, that gives you enough to kind of go on to try and find more of this, to identify where it might have come from and when, and give you an idea of what it might be worth and all kinds of interesting stuff. So I kind of hope this has been informative. This is just basically me following. This is how I follow my nose. There are always, like, I'll always go through several different iterations of trying to figure out like what it could be, what the correct keywords are to use. This I don't think is going to be as accurate as using like an actual appraiser or someone who's an actual expert in like depression loss. This is just this is kind of how I try to work with Google image search and Google keywords in order to kind of figure out or kind of get more information about what I'm looking at. It doesn't always work, and you know, you kind of have to get a sense for what keywords you should be using based on what you've got, what you get from each search. So it's kind of very much an iterative process. So starting from here, I think from here to here, I took maybe, I want to say about like 3/4 of an hour, just kind of cycling through different avenues and doing things like looking at like Australian depression loss and a few other things. So there you have it. This is kind of how this happened. I'll probably do a few more of these videos. I don't think I can do them very often because I like doing the videos on like items and stuff. So I hope this has been informative, and thank you very much for watching. Have a good day.